I'm posting this video because the other day I posted on Facebook a post about us Christians not letting non-Christians influence us. And actually, in a twist of irony, I think some Christians and non-Christians criticize me for using AI. And so here I am, not using AI. I've already posted my Bible study notes today. But here's going to be a raw video of me going over some of the Bible study notes I made for this morning. I'm using a New King James Version Bible. I usually personally use King James, but New King James is the version my wife uses, and I bought her a Bible that I'm reading, making notes in for her, to her, and it usually takes me a couple years, so she'll get the Bible when I'm done. But I'm in Psalm 41. The first verse that stood out to me was verse 1, "Blessed is he who considers the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble." I think the lazy reaction to this verse is you see somebody on the streets begging for money, give them $1, $2, whatever it is, something to kind of make them stop bugging you. You feel better about yourself. And I think that's the lazy approach to this. I'm not saying I haven't done it in the past. It's been a long time. But my position on the matter is you're just giving that person alcohol. You're giving them drugs. You're giving them what they're looking for, which is they're not looking for a job. They're not looking, probably not even looking for food. There's so many options for those types of people, especially in cities or suburban areas to go, churches and houses that provide food. They've got plans. I've looked into this. This is almost 100% voluntary lifestyle these folks live. And so when you give them money, you're just giving them drugs and you're giving them alcohol. Also, the verse that comes to mind for me, for folks like that, is 2 Thessalonians 3:10. This is the verse about if you're not going to work, you're not going to eat. 99% of those people are able-bodied people that can go work and earn their money. Also, another verse that comes to mind is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verses 3 through 16. It's talking to the Christians about serving the widows. And it's real specific and thorough and diligent about making sure you're not just serving any widow, but you're serving widows that really need to be helped, that don't have other means, that can't help themselves. And so those are the verses I think about with that. Verse 9, Psalm 41:9, "Even my own familiar friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me." This isn't about, some victim, my friends are against me. That's not what this reminded me of. This reminded me of was, the almost the exact words of Jesus later on in the New Testament. I think it was John 13:18. Jesus is talking about Judas. So David, although I think scholars think that he's dealing with his son Absalom rebelling against him, revolting against him to try to kill him and take over the kingdom, almost prophetically, David's dealing with the same thing that Jesus ended up dealing with Judas. Verse 11, Psalm 41:11, "By this I know that you are well pleased with me, because my enemy does not triumph over me." So this is David talking to God, and it's kind of a conditional if-then statement. In other words, in David's mind, he's not sure if God's pleased with him unless he's triumphing over his enemies. Now, it's not necessarily 100% logical, but I think it reads the way we think about things today. So David wasn't different at all than us in that, when things are going good, we feel like we're in God's will and we feel like we're in God's pleasure. And I certainly think that's something to think about, and that's something to consider. But definitely God is there with us in the miry pit. And I think that's what I wrote about yesterday, or AI wrote for me yesterday. But, I think we can definitely relate with David when things are going good, that God is pleased with us. But also we have to balance that out with when we're in the valley, we're in the pit, God's there with us, and he may not be pleased with the actions that we took to get there, but he still loves us and is going to bring us through, especially us believers. And verse 13, so getting a bit political here, I'm sure, but it is what it is, and y'all have seen who I am, so I'm not going to back away from it. But verse is, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel from everlasting to everlasting." And so Israel, to me, and I'm still working on this position about, it seems like a lot of older folks especially are very pro-Israel and give to Israel and support Israel and all that. And I'm not saying I'm against it, but to me, Israel in the Bible is Jacob, is one who wrestles with God. It's the descendants of Jacob. And so you've got um, you got Jacob and Esau, and so of course we're following Jacob, not Esau. So he's not saying the descendants of Isaac, and even in this verse he's not saying the descendants of Abraham, because you've got Isaac and Ishmael, and then from Isaac you've got Jacob and Esau. So he's going with Jacob, and Jacob specifically wrestled with God. And I'm open to the conversation for sure about who exactly Israel is, and I know I've been adopted in, and grafted in. I know all that. But in terms of how we support Israel, I don't have a ton of hard opinions about that, other than I think we support the people who fear God, who wrestle with God. And I definitely think there's people in the nation of Israel who aren't that and don't do that. And that's a tough thing to discern in real time and across the world. So, anyway, so that's my non-AI version of my notes from Psalm 41:1. Hope we see each other soon.